I've just thought of another fairly simple special effect thing you can do. This was on the Little Theatre in Mull in the Hebrides. Not to be confused with Mull of Kintyre, which is it's a place, but it's sort of a shit song by Wings. But Mull, there's an island called Mull, and on Mull there is what used to be at one point the smallest theatre in the world. And I was lucky enough to go and work there for a couple of seasons. And the first season I was there, we did a number of shows. I don't know, shows. Some were devised, some were, one show was certainly devised by, for reasons I can't fully remember, it was devised by this bloke on the island who used to be in a prog rock band in the 70s, and as a result was living in a small stone cottage in the middle of a field with no mains, water or electricity, with quite a chubby woman and a lot of mirrors on the ceiling, from what I can remember. Weird setup. Anyway, he wrote this this play. I can't even remember really what it was about. Certainly there was a lot of it was organic, man. But at one point it was decided he should have a parachute suspended. So it had a parachute, small theatre, tiny stage, not very big at all, about 5 metres wide. The stage, not very small. So parachute suspended, and then we were going to project the solar system, space, onto the parachute, and then we were going to get the parachute to sort of a bit like, I imagine, swimming along underneath a jellyfish, that sort of woonging we called it. Anyway, that was achieved by me tying a string to the centre of the parachute from behind, then having through a load of pulleys so I could just pull this string, and the thing just, it was gorgeous. Anyway, he wanted to project space onto it, so we investigated, and bearing in mind we're on an island in the Hebrides, quite a long way from what you'd loosely describe as civilization, I got in touch with the British Museum, and they very helpfully put me onto people who knew about slides, and I said, no, I need to project images of space. So they said, yeah, we can do something like that. And I said, I'm not really fussy which. I mean, space is big, just send me some pictures. And they went, yeah, what's your budget? And I said, I can't afford very much, maybe 20 quid, just, some slides. I imagine that in the gift shop at the British Museum, they've got slides of, the thingy nebula and whatever. Anyway, so they duly sent me some stuff, bish bosh. I should point out this is in the time before computers, certainly before computers came into my life in any meaningful way, or mobile phones or anything like that. So anyway, they posted these pictures to me, and they arrived, and I was expecting, nice little, well, actually you might not know if you're young, but you used to be able to get little plastic slides. They were about 50mm square plastic with a little image in the middle, and you put it in a slide projector, that's what it was called, imaginatively enough, and you could project things. Anyway, these things arrived. They were huge. They were about this big, like bigger than an iPhone 7 Plus, should we say, quite large. They were very good slides, but they were far too big, so I bought locally a load of little slide frames, these little white frames, cut up the big slides, shoved them in, projected. Brilliant, fantastic images of space. Thought it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, they were good pictures, I have to say. We did the show, whatever it was, I still can't remember. It was dreadful. Anyway, as a sort of thank you to the weird 70s car crash victim of an ex-prog rock star, as a present to him, I gave him all the snippings, the offcuts, the bits that we haven't used because the slides were far too big, and he made stained glass window out of them, which was nice. Thought nothing more of it. About, I don't know, 6 months later I'd left. I was doing panto somewhere, the season had ended and I'd gone. I got a call from the island saying they'd had a bill from the British Museum, overdue return of slides. A bit like a library would accuse you of keeping a book for 5 years, then charge you 85p. Anyway, the British Library were a bit more heavy-handed than that. They were suggesting that quite a substantial amount of money was owing. So I phoned them up and said, look, in my opinion, I thought we'd just bought some off you, like from the gift shop. And they went, no. They were their original slides, taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. And so they're worth a few bob. And I said, well, I see. And they said, well, if you send them back, fair's fair. If you can just collect them all together and send them back, well, we can reduce the overdue charges. And obviously, I'd moved on. As I say, I was doing panto somewhere else. I was in another part of the forest, man. But the more I thought about it, the more I got this picture in my head of a small stained glass window, an over-enthusiastic pair of scissors, a mad old hippie, and the bits that I threw in the bin. And I thought, well, that's not going to go well. So I wasn't able to send them back. I thought, what I'll do is nothing. And that seemed, in the medium term, that went quite well, because months passed, didn't hear anything. About a year later, they got another letter at the theatre on Mull, threatening to take them to court and suing the theatre for £100,000, which was this is the very early 1990s, the cost of replacing the slides that I'd set up. Well, that didn't go down well, as you'd imagine. The good thing is the liability for this £100,000 fell on the shoulders of the shareholders in the theatre, the trust, members of the trust, 6 people on the island. Fortunately for them, they were all limiting their liability to £1, which meant that between the 6 of them, they had to send the British Museum £6, and then they could jump on, really. So that's what they did, as far as I know. Now, I didn't give this much more thought. Oh, I know I did. I'll tell you what I did do, because I got a little bit twitchy around the time one of the trustees phoned me and said, we owe £1. We've got to pay them £1. We owe them £100,000. What have you done? And I got in touch with Equity, who, to be fair, were really, really nice. At the time, Equity have 2 lawyers who work full-time for them. And I spoke to one of them, and when he'd finished laughing, he got his colleague on the call as well, and they thought it was the funniest thing they'd heard in ages, and they were delighted to take the case on my behalf. So that put my mind at rest, even if it was a bit embarrassing just hearing them laughing at me down the phone. Anyway, didn't think anything more of it. Went up to visit Mull a couple of years later. I just decided one day, I was living in London, and I thought, I'm going to go to Mull. So I did, in my little black Triumph Spitfire. It's not particularly little, it's the same size as all Triumph Spitfires. They were all just made. It's a type of car, small car, soft top, little old 1970s sports car, with overdrive as well, which is like having 5 gears, only you have normal four forward gears, and then a little switch, a bit like the switch in James Bond's old Aston Martin DB5 that pressed the eject seat. Anyway, it has a little switch so you can change into what was 5th gear, but without having to move the gear lever. Anyway, left London about lunchtime, drove up the A1, out of England, into Scotland, across towards Glasgow. Hours, got dark, driving through Glasgow in the dark. Eventually got as far as Loch Lomond, then thought I'm a bit tired now because I've been driving for like 10 hours. So I drove into the woods by the loch and parked, got out, went to the local pub and staggered in. I'd had the roof down and I was a bit staggered in and said, hello, I'm on the way to Mull, I think I need a drink. And they were very nice, they plied me with drinks. I left the pub some time later and went back to sleep in the car. Unbeknownst to me, obviously, it's quite dark by Loch Lomond at night if you're not in a built-up area, and I couldn't find the car. It's black. It's a black car in the woods at night, no stars. It was dark. It was blacker than the inside of a cat down a well. Really dark. Eventually, after staggering around for some time, I found the car just because I saw a little red glow, which was the little standby switch on the radio in the car. So that was good. Found the car, had a kit. Got up the next day, went to Mull, got to Mull, went to the pub in the village, Dervig, where the little theatre used to be. Said hello to people, and someone said, oh, there's someone in here looking for you. They didn't say it in that accent. I think they said it in a Scottish accent. Imagine this is a Scottish accent. There was someone in here looking for you. Only the other day. Really? And it's the bloody British Museum had sent someone up to come and find me. This was like 18 months afterwards. Well, they can jog on. I'm not getting it now. Where was I? I really can't remember. Do you know, the thing about getting to Mull as well, you have to drive up to Oban on the mainland, then you have to get a ferry, and it's about 45 minutes on a ferry across to Mull. And they charge you, foot passengers, it's quite cheap. You've got a car, it costs more, but it depends on the length of the car. Now, when I first went up to Mull, I had a Vauxhall Astra van. And so when I got to the ferry to go to Mull the first time, I went and had a look, see how much it was going to cost. And it was like 4 metres cost 12 quid, 4.5 metres was 14 quid, 5 metres, a bit more. I measured the car, just a fraction over 4.5 metres. So I thought, it's an old van, I'm not that fussed. So before paying for my ticket, I quietly drove to the end of the car park where there wasn't anybody about. Really nice solid concrete wall. Drove gently into the wall, measured the car again, still a bit over. A bit less gently, drove into the wall. Vauxhall Astra at the front, it has very slightly pointy front bumper there used to be, so it had a bit of shape in it. So if you hit a wall, you could lose a couple of centimetres without any particular damage happening. So I did that, drove into the wall a couple of times, measured it, just under, fraction under 4.5 metres. Went to the ticket office and said, all right, got my car, 4.5 metres please. And they went, what sort is it? I said, Vauxhall Astra Estate style van, I think. And they went, oh yeah, that's 5 metres. I went, no, it's not. It's just under 4.5 metres. And I went, oh, sorry, no, according to the guide, it's just over 4.5 metres, so you have to pay for 5 metres. To say I was upset would be an understatement. I'd just voluntarily driven my car into a wall a number of times, trying to save £2. Anyway, there you go. That was Mull. This may have been going further, but I can't remember where it was going to go next. I think we'll come back to Mull though, because this is a rich seam